Good morning, everybody. This is Coola. We are looking today at our data. It is going to be another day of potential volatility. Let me make sure I've got this off. Good day, good day. Special shout out to our sponsors, Gamma Edge and Black Box Stocks. Without those guys, would not be able to bring you this content. So, special shout out to those guys. Make sure you take a look at our links in the bio for more information about signing up with those guys. Today there is, let's see, really today the only thing that we have that's going to be a market mover is going to be the FOMC meeting minutes. And I'm not a very big I'm not a very big supporter of that really moving the market. Uh, but it is later on the day. You need to take note of it. It's at 1 p.m. or excuse me, 2 p.m. Central or 2 p.m. Eastern. And like I said, when that happens, sometimes there could be volatility, sometimes there could not be. It will be kind of insightful to see what the feds are saying in regards to some of the tariff changes and stuff like that, because that will likely be on the minutes from this year, so or from this month, excuse me. But let's take a deep dive into this real quick. Taking a look at SPY, you can see a large launch right here off of the daily 200. You're seeing it retest the highs of this potential range towards that 595 area. When we look at data here, let's take a look at the data here on SPY real quick. We can see today's, virtually up to 595. You can kind of see you can kind of see the push into that 595 area, but as high as 602 and 600. I don't know if we're going to get that. You can kind of see that this almost looks like a chop day at that 595 mark. As we can see that we kind of fall off from there, as low as 588. So 588 is there because that's a 5900 retest on SPX. Let's take a look at SPX real quick. Well, let's mark it up real quick. Before we do that, let's mark up our range here. Bear with me this morning. All right. So yesterday we talked about the potential drop to 585, holding the range, and then trying to get an extension off of this for that 590 visit, and that's exactly what we got. Almost pinpointed, as you can see. We opened, dropped, and then got that push up here. I thought we'd open right above 586, but we didn't. We actually dropped a little bit lower, but that happened pre-market. So virtually the exact move was estimated on that. So today we're looking at SPY 595 to 588 is going to be our range. 588 to 595. So you can clearly tell we've got a lot of liquidity levels up towards this level, up to this level. So a lot of supply areas, right? So will we get that expansion towards that 595? I think it's likely that we do get to that range, but I do find that this is that potential area for some volatility up towards those supply zones. You need to be mindful. This looks like a bounce off of your daily your 20, and then you get an expansion, but a lot of times this can look real choppy and it can make its move. So will this be a good day to trade? Potentially, but I think it's going to be more so you got to be ready for kind of just some choppy weathers, right? And is it something where options are the best, futures are the best? I think today's leans towards a futures day, right? Um, where you're not going to catch that theta burn. But avoid 0 day today, and then you just might get to profit off of some push towards 595. But the data here shows us. But I want you to take a look where we are in that range today. We're at the very middle. That means that you should never really look to play on that day when you're opening near there. You look for a move towards 588, or you look towards that 595 area to play. So, not my ideal look for playing today. If I had to guess, I wouldn't be surprised to see us, make that move down. Even if we make that move down towards 588 before making that press back up there, that wouldn't surprise me at all to see this type of move. So maybe an open sell and see us drive towards 588, right? Wouldn't be surprised to see that. And then push all the way back up to 595. This move right here would not surprise me one bit. Okay, so if you're looking for some type of move, set up the 589 slip, about 588.67, right in that range, and see if you get to catch that alert, and then you can look to buy some calls for a move up towards 595. If it just presses, let's say it holds this range and it presses towards 595 from there, well then by all means, you missed that move. But I really like this setup more than watching this thing come. Love tap the high and then trying to go up here. I don't really see it. So, all right. So moving on from SPY, let's go to Tesla here. Tesla had a nice little expansion off of its zone yesterday as well. It saw 350. I thought we might get hung up here. I was looking to take the short, a lotto short here at 350 again, because I thought that if we did get hung up at 350, we'd see a potential rollover to 327 or potentially lower. And so I did take a lotto short there, which is burnt at this point. But looking for this thing for the expansion, really to 400 at this point, right? That's kind of what we're talking about. Let's take a look at Tesla's data here. You can see that 365, 340, but you continuously see. Let's go to the full complex here. Look at the draw here at 400. Super large draw, super large positive GEX here. So to me, this means more than likely that's where we're headed. It's just a matter of time, right? So kind of watching it get drawn in that range. I guess 234,000 contracts looking to drive that range. It probably looks like 530. So this week has a big pull on the contracts this week. So interesting enough. Let's see if this thing wants to pop over the top of 365. If you do, it opens the doors at 370, 380, and 385. I think at this 385 area, we need to watch this kind of pivot point where this turns into not really enough selling, but definitely some type of way where there's some type of level here. If we don't get hung up at this 380, 382 area, then we're just going straight to 400. It just wouldn't surprise me one bit. But it is very much bullish. Is there a great place to enter at this point? Not really. 335 to 365. 365 is your range. You're sitting right at the top of this range. Again, are we seeing just another directional day from Tesla? Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Honest to God, it wouldn't surprise me. There's a couple different things in my mind here where we see this kind of play this range here, and then maybe we see a breakout outside of top of 365. But I don't really see this thing pressing much lower than 355, right? So you have your nice little order block here. So any visit down into this range, you can look to buy and maintain this level here. But I wouldn't be surprised to see some type of chop here, even if it's for most of the day before you get a press out here. Just wouldn't surprise me one bit if that is the case. But anything to the downside, I'm not a super fan at this point, right? You would need to see a little bit different data, and especially just kind of the momentum that we've seen out of this area. It's too strong. You don't want anything to do with it. Now, Nvidia does have its earnings today after close that can play a role in kind of like what we're seeing moving forward in the market. So let's keep that in the back of our head. But as of right now, this looks like a potential breakout candidate here. If we start getting that press over 135 at Nvidia, which we are, and that could be something. So taking a look here, 136.57. You're seeing that we're breaking that 135 point that we talked about yesterday on the live. If you guys didn't catch the live with Delta Jeans and myself, and I think even a surprise visit by Rustic yesterday, there was some nuggets to be had there. We talked about the visit, and a lot of good call outs on that. A lot of good call outs on that live there. So taking a look at Nvidia here. The data is going to say 140, 141. So this is a pretty bitch a pivot. Don't really want to play the price action here today, but this does to me this does look like a pretty good sized draw towards 140. 137 has a decent short on it. You need to look for it to break 137 in order to get up to that 140. But if I had to guess, we're not going to see this thing move over the top of 145 here. There's a lot of contracts being sold here, but I just don't really see it moving over the top of 145. You see a pretty sizable draw into 150 the following week. But again, this is getting to the point where I talked about this in the last earnings. There's to move past this realm, right, of this $4 trillion mark, it's going to take quite a bit. And that's kind of where we're at in 150. The market cap, right? It's going to be really tough, especially with uncertain waters. I don't really see it making it past this just yet. We're going to need to see some real confidence, some real things being built. I imagine they're talking about building in America. I imagine they're talking about Blackwell's expansion and the sales on that. I'm sure they're talking about some of their data servers today. There's going to be quite a bit to go on with that, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to move the stock too much. I mean, you've got an implied move here, 10%. So that's not very significant when you start talking about probably the cost of these contracts being, you know, I'd have to say that the contracts are probably $500 to $600 each. So even if you buy like a 140, it's going to pop up there, and it'd be like, it'll probably be $400, $500 at 136, and so that's just how that works. All right, so that's going to virtually be it for today. I would avoid trading Nvidia at all costs, but if you do, I would be looking for the 137 break and hold, and see that thing try to push up to that 140 mark. See if you can get that push up to that 140 mark, and then at that point, I don't think I want anything to do with holding through earnings. Just no chance. I'm not saying I'm bearish on it. I'm just saying it's really could just be flat again. And I thought that last time, and I'm thinking it again. So hopefully I'm wrong. I do own some Nvidia. Hopefully this thing goes up, but if it wants to come back down, that's fine with me too. I'll continue to buy some Nvidia. So, all right, thanks for tuning in, guys. Hey, if you're interested in joining us on our trading community, make sure you go to rawstocksllc.com. That is rawstocksllc.com. Or make sure you join us on Discord. On discord.gg/rawstocks. You can do either one of those. to come check us out. Make sure you support our sponsors in the links from our bio, from our description, wherever you catch our content. But I appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, follow us, whatever it is. And until next time, we'll catch you later.